They develop a whole narrative about why the country belongs to them. In our case, the Bible. It was like a ready-made narrative. And the intention is to take over the country. And like I said, the only outcome of that is either genocide or apartheid, or a mixture of the two, both of which should be unacceptable to us. Nevertheless, Israel has done it. I mean, it has taken over Palestine. It rules Palestine today. So the only way out, and you can't compromise, it's not a conflict. We always talk about the Arab Israeli conflict or the Israeli Palestinian. It's not a conflict because there's no two sides. The minute you say the word conflict, you recognize the settler colonists as a legitimate side. Now they have the legitimacy because everybody from the Palestinians to everybody else sees them as a side. Great. Now, if we're a side, now what do you do in conflicts? You negotiate, you compromise. Well, what are the Palestinians supposed to compromise on? That 78% of their country belongs to somebody else? That 5, 6 million refugees can't come back, or maybe 10,000 come back in a compromise. I mean, the whole idea of conflict resolution negotiations makes people have to, it forces an oppressed people to give up its rights, to compromise. So that's why we're urging everyone to adopt an anti-colonial discourse. Forget conflict. We shouldn't use the word conflict. We're talking about indigenous Palestinian resistance. It's not terrorism because every colonial power criminalizes resistance, right? And makes it into terrorism. We have to reject that. That comes out of the conflict model. The anti-colonial approach would say the indigenous Palestinian population is engaged in resistance against settler occupation or settler takeover or a settler colonial project. And that reframes the whole thing. Now what's the way out? Well, the only way out is to end the colonialism. It isn't to justify, legitimize a colonial system and then try to work with it. You can't do that. That's what the two-state solution tries to do, and that's apartheid. So what you have to do is decolonize, dismantle all the structures of control and domination that Israel has laid over the Palestinians, and then move, like in South Africa, move to one democratic state of equal rights for everyone and the refugees coming back. The only way out is to establish one democratic state over the entire country of equal rights for everyone. And It's a hard program, because you have to replace Israel. Israel has to stop. You cannot have a Jewish state in that country. That's simply a colonial state that has been rejected all over the world, except in this one particular place. And unless that's done, um, uh, the settler regime is going to continue. The only way to get Palestinian rights and the only way to have real security for Israeli Jews that will stay is in the framework of a single, common, shared democratic state.